I need more storage, but really, who doesn't? So I built something out of this. I built an extra large outdoor storage chest so I can store away my egg chairs, outdoor cushions, and even myself if I had to. Anyways, you want one too? Follow me and lass uns anfangen.
There's dirt on my hands, strong like a tree. There's roots where I stand.
Let's put those protective glasses on and let's get right into cutting the lumber to size. I got all the lumber from Home Depot and most of the pieces are 8 foot long. I built the inside chest dimensions approximately 4 foot by 3 foot tall. The main reason to build this outdoor storage is to store my egg chairs and outdoor cushions in I have over the winter or when I'm just not using them to protect them from the weather. To cut the lumber to size, I'm using my miter saw. I chose to go with the 8 foot pieces because for the front pieces I will just cut the lumber in half, so one 8 foot piece will give me 2 4 foot pieces. And for the depth I went with a 4 foot depth, so each 8 foot piece will give me 4 2 foot pieces. Like this I will end up at the least waste. Once I had the pieces cut to the correct length, I used my table saw to clean up the edges and make them square. Also, I used the table saw to cut a few 2x4s in half. I will build those pieces to build a frame out of it. Here you can see a rough layout on how the frame of the box will look like. The first layout was the frame of the underside of the lid. Left and right of the center you can see the side pieces that will be filled in with the 4 foot pieces that we cut earlier. And those middle pieces will be the top part of the chest. And now all those pieces will need to be assembled. I glued and screwed them together using outdoor glue and pocket holes. Here you can see me connecting the panels for the top. This is the only part I did not use any wood glue, because the whole top part will be screwed to a frame. Now since I had built the top panel for the lid, now it's time to build the frame. Like mentioned previously, I will build a frame out of the 2x4s that I cut in half earlier. I assembled the frame by using standard outdoor screws. Then I brought back the top panel and attached it to the frame. Like always, I chose to go with black hardware. So I used my spray paint can to paint the screws black to make them match the overall color scheme. Once the paint dried, I used the screws to attach the top panel to the frame. Just be careful not to strip them because the paint might come off. And now it's time what we've all been waiting for. Well, that rough lumber needs some sanding, so let's have some fun with it. Let's put on some good music and enjoy the beats. Alright, that shall be enough sanding. Next I assemble the sides and attach them to the pieces that I cut for the framing. I need 2 of those panels that are identical, one for the front and one for the back. The same for the side pieces, I need 2 that are identical. Once I had them all assembled, I attached them together with pocket holes and screws. I also added some additional outdoor screws to the corners of the frame for extra stability. This is already getting pretty heavy. I was concerned that once I attach the last piece, the box will be too heavy for me to move off the workbench, so instead I finished the assembly on the floor. The bottomless box is finished, and for today, this is how far we're gonna go. Now it's time to rest a bit, and tomorrow I will continue with the project. It's the next day now, and I had some really good rest. And I'm ready to tackle the last few steps of the project. As a first step, I added the floor to the box. I attached those boards without those screws. I made sure all the boards had a snug fit, because they do still feel a little bit moist, and I do know once they fully dry they will shrink a bit. And I really don't want to end up with any big gaps. And then it was time for the finish. And this is how I messed up my pants. I applied an even thin coat of the stain, and then just before it dried I went back and added a second. Now all that's left to do is to attach the lid to the box. Like always, the hardware I got from Amazon. The link is in the description below. I also got some hardware to close the box in the front, but the hardware is not very good quality and I will end up sending it back. So for now the box is without any additional hardware, but that will change soon. I definitely want to add a handle and some kind of lock. As you can see, I also attached hardware that adds a soft closing mechanism to the lid. However, the lid must be way too heavy for it since it does not work properly, but it does help keep the lid open, so I might just keep it. And wir fertig! Wow, another build in the books, and this one gives me a lot of more storage. Exactly what I needed. What do you think? Do you like the build? Would you build it yourself? Like always, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel if you have not done so, and most importantly, press that bell button to be notified of new videos. Also, if you can, please consider joining my Patreon for more pictures and videos that does help me create more YouTube videos. Honestly, I have to admit, I probably would make the whole chest about 6 inches shorter. It's just a little bit too tall, and it's very hard to reach the bottom, as you can tell. Thank you so much, and see you next Friday. Tschüss!